there's some controversy right now about resveratrol being even useful at all as a longevity compound.
The main thing that we care about is it a reactive oxygen species scavenger. It means that it kind of deactivates or stabilizes free radicals.
So delivering that spermidine at the level of the skin, you're creating autophagy in the skin cells because, again, every single cell has to go through autophagy if it wants to remain healthy. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Elias Arjan, who's the co-founder and CEO of Young Goose. And Amate, we're so honored that you supported the Healthspan Summit with every VIP gift bag getting the Youth Daily product. And as I was looking at this product and how it's formulated, I've honestly never seen anything with this combination of ingredients, and I'm not a beauty guy or an expert, so I don't know how they work and what they do. So I would like to have you tell us, like, what is Youth Daily, and why did you create this particular product as a formulator? Because I know you know a lot about longevity and anti-aging and beauty and skincare. So let's dive right into that. Tell us about this product and the formulation.
Okay, I actually never get to talk about specifically that, like taking a product and breaking down the formulation. So it's very exciting for me to do that. And it's also very exciting for us to support what you guys are doing because we truly believe in that. So I just want to make sure I say that and it's good to be involved in something we believe in. Now, I would like to start by giving a little not kind of good news and bad news, which is skincare. A lot of the times we can have a very easy avenue, a much easier avenue to create an efficacious formulation than we would with supplements. We have a much smaller, if you would, target organism because we don't target the entire organism. We only target, hopefully the local cells that we apply the products on, and obviously the cells beneath them. So down to a certain depth. So I'll give you an example, which we're going to get in the formula. But for example, we're using resveratrol. Resveratrol.
Right.
If my friend asked me, "Hey, should I be taking it orally?" I would not have them necessarily spend their money on resveratrol. Obviously, there are some caveats there, but I wouldn't. It's not going to be my first recommendation for a polyphenol, longevity compound, anything like that. But locally, we can see beautiful results because it interacts, especially like the form that we're going to talk about in a second, but it interacts fantastically with the skin locally. The
Well,
other,
and you just brought up, I was sorry to interrupt, but you just brought that
yeah.
because I was going to ask that. So,
Hmm.
we can go through the ingredients one by one, but when I saw this, right, is that it says like a fermented resveratrol.
Hmm.
And I know as a longevity guy who does research and reads the research that there's some controversy right now about resveratrol being even useful at all as a longevity compound. You have two camps. You have people who say it's really great, we love it. And you have some people saying like, don't even go near that as a supplement, that it has no value. But
Hmm.
what you're saying is that the resveratrol, because it's through a skin-based delivery system, you were able to, you know that this is actually having an effect at the local level.
Hmm. Yeah, and this resveratrol has 5 patents associated with it. And some of those we needed to have proof of concept or research associated with it as far as like, does it make a difference? Does it move the needle? And when we are looking at resveratrol, the reason it is fermented is because resveratrol is a hormetic compound. Whether it is doing a good job or not, it does create a stress response in the skin specifically as far as we're concerned, but not only in the skin. And actually, the skin doesn't have the enzymes to break it down and to then, kind of neutralize it and have it not build up toxicity. And although
So what
there,
does it actually do? So what does the resveratrol, so I apply it in a local
Mhm.
area. I mean, is it an anti-wrinkle effect? Is it
So
how, like, because I mean, that's all we ever hear in beauty, right? Like, this
yeah.
is reducing wrinkles, but I'm guessing resveratrol isn't doing that. Like you're already shaking your head. That's not what it does. So what does it actually do at the local level?
So it actually does two things. The main thing that we care about is it a reactive oxygen species scavenger. It means that it kind of deactivates or stabilizes free radicals. And the reason that is important is because most of the things that we think of as drivers of aging, from UV damage to pollution to heavy metals, glyphosates, and I can go down the list. Even if someone smokes, the reason their skin changes is mainly because of free radicals. Um, so when we can lower free radical damage, we can actually uh, obviously contribute to skin longevity. I'll give you like a small caveat. When we look at sunblocks, the same um, sunblock efficacy score, basically, which is international, right? SPF 40, for example,
Right.
is almost doubly as effective if it has a good antioxidant next to it, or a reactive oxygen species scavenger next to it. So just to drive home the importance of that kind of compound. That's number one. It is also anti-inflammatory, and also it really is very effective at um, lowering the expression of the it kind of puts curbs the will of the skin to create pigment, which is very important for
Hmm.
anyone that is not, let's say their skin isn't working optimally, which is anyone above like the age of 25, because there is an uneven. So you want to make it harder on the skin to create pigment or to respond to stimulation to create pigment, because it will create uneven pigment. It will create hyperpigmentation, and it's going to be driven through different mechanisms. So by suppressing something called tyrosinase, we can um, even out pigmentation long term.
Wow. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
so let's continue to go through these
Hmm.
one by one. I mean, the big ingredient that's right here for those of you looking at home here on label, spermidine life. Now,
Yeah.
I know in the longevity community, people may have heard of spermidine or spermidine, depending who you ask. And this is obviously a specific group that is
Hmm.
has their own formulation.
Yeah.
Why did you put this? Because again, I know it's an oral supplement. You put this in your skin line.
Hmm.
So what is spermidine doing? And then we'll continue to go through the ingredients list. But let's take that one next.
So spermidine is a molecule we have naturally in the body. Obviously, any living organism, for the most part, engages in something called autophagy, which is spring cleaning of the body.
Right.
But it's more than that. Actually, it is like the chimney of your repair and renewal and I would say like resilience furnace. Okay.
Okay.
And that is because what I mean by that is it doesn't only allow the fumes, exhaust, materials that have been used to be ushered out, but it actually also stokes the flames. So the more autophagy we have, obviously everything is within reason, the more renewal we have. Okay, so we can
Right.
drive renewal, we can signal more renewal by increasing autophagy. Um,
Right.
so
And so
that's
what and so delivering that spermidine at the level of the skin, you're creating autophagy in the skin cells because again, every single cell has to go through autophagy if it wants to remain healthy. And so now you're literally sort of stimulating the health of the cells wherever you apply this product on your face or
yeah.
body.
And we even contribute to skin microbiome and skin barrier. So it actually goes from
Mm.
the outside of the skin, in layman terms, to the innermost layer that we care about, the dermis in the skin. And it's important to understand that people are going to same way, and we're going to touch on NAD or NAD in a second, but the same way where people might have heard about resveratrol or NAD. um, Spermidine is going to be the next big thing, in my
Right.
opinion, in many people's opinion. And the issue here is this: um, because it's a molecule that has a lot of financial, I would say, benefits to being associated with it, we are going to start to see, you know, I would say like a little bit of a game of margins and of profitability as time goes on. And something important to understand that spermidine isn't it, it is a end result. This is the molecule that your body uses, but it is not the fuel the body needs in order to create that molecule. Spermidine, it's limited. The amount that we can provide to the skin of direct spermidine is limited. We actually need other precursors or postcursors, other forms of that in order to enrich the skin fully with that molecule. So we have also so we have other polyamines, putrescine, spermine, that are also boosting the amount of spermidine that our skin has locally. Something
And that's
important that
already in this product?
yes,
Like you
yes,
have
yes,
addition
yes,
so not only do you have the spermidine itself being delivered directly is a sort of skin supplement, if you will,
yeah,
but you also have some of the precursors to help the skin generate its own spermidine to supplement its own levels.
correct,
Wow, that's phenomenal. Okay. Well, we don't have too much time. I know
yeah,
you're a busy man, so let's just keep going through these. So you mentioned already NAD.
hmm
So, and you also have this NAD, and I've seen this on the Young Goose products, NAD Noble.
hmm
So, I mean, I've heard as a longevity guy again about NAD or NAD, but what is the difference between that NAD that I may be seeing that people are getting as an IV or sometimes a dermal patch now,
hmm
versus delivering it in the skin, and why Noble?
So NAD noble is the first kind of ingredient that we used in Young Goose, obviously a patented ingredient, which is the liposomal NAD precursors that are micronized. They're called microencapsulated. They're basically nano-sized so they can absorb through the skin, and they are then being assembled. Kind of same thing that we said about resveratrol. Sorry, excuse me, about spermidine is true about NAD. The body needs the building blocks to create the full-fledged NAD molecule that the body uses. Um, NAD really is the fuel for any repair process in the body,
Yeah.
really, over
Yeah, if
600
anybody remembers from
processes.
high school or college, the Krebs cycle, there's like a plug-in point for NAD that you see in that graph, and
Yeah,
it's essential. Like if you don't have NAD, you're in trouble. Like if you stop producing NAD, you're done basically.
but
So
it's
we
not,
need this all the time, but it's hard for us to predict. And we know that the NAD levels go off a cliff as we age, right? That's one of the
yeah.
big concerns there.
And the skin actually needs it the most. UV damage,
Really?
yes, UV damage has direct correlation with NAD depletion because the
Hmm.
need to, so there is direct mutation of DNA because of UV radiation. That requires about 17 different enzymes. Some of them people would know as sirtuins, but there are other ones, for example, PARPs that people might know, might not, that really are all dependent on us. So 17 different enzyme families that are dependent on NAD in order to curb the or to handle the damage of UV radiation. By the way, also EMFs, blue light, other things also cause that. But
Right.
the skin is kind of first line of defense. It is always starving for NAD, and very very important to know that not only that NAD allows you to create energy, but it also is a cofactor for those enzymes. So it basically is a almost like a catalyst for those actions.
Right.
So if you don't have enough NAD, you are basically remain you may you're left with mutated DNA, and over time that obviously leads to cell death, um, and other bad things.
All right. So, and let's go down to the next one here. So, enhanced copper peptide complex. Now,
Yeah.
copper peptides, that might be the only one that I've seen listed on other beauty care products. So,
Yeah.
obviously, you added that in. Maybe people have heard of copper peptides, but for anyone who hasn't, please explain why that's important.
So copper peptide. So peptides are basically like a lock and key mechanism in different for different functions in the skin. And copper bound peptides are very important for the formation of the skin matrix, but they're also very important to reduce inflammation in the skin, to help with wound healing, again, lowering inflammation, autoimmune responses in the skin, many things that we can think of as the end results of malfunctioning skin. The issue with uh, copper peptides, so GHK-Cu, which is the hero copper peptide that we use, and skin wrinkling, is that all of the studies have been or 99% of studies have been done in a form that would isolate their results around someone that has the perfect conditions to respond to it. And what we've learned using it for, I don't know, over 5 years now, and having a lot of research and development, over 10,000 research and development formulas in our books to date, we have learned that when you take it to the real world, anything from its fragility, the temperature that it is being
Right.
transported in, but also um, daily life and the movement of our of our skin, basically, renders the scaffolding that it builds for collagen almost inefficacious. So what we
Well,
needed to do is we needed to basically create a complex that would also um, limit the firing of synapses of neurons next to or that would lead to the contraction of muscles next to where that peptide is functioning. So we use two what
that's
we
a
call.
tremendous amount of detail. Like, I mean, I've never heard this sort of talked about anywhere before. So that's fascinating. So even the way the peptide is being delivered in the copper on the
Yeah.
skin already has something in it
Mhm.
to essentially
So
modulate neuronal
yeah.
function in the skin to ensure it's delivered properly. Did I assess that
Yes,
correctly?
yes,
Understand that correctly?
100%. And I equate it to playing with rubber, and creation of wrinkles, or or mitigation of the creation of wrinkles. So if I play with rubber and it bends in the exact same spot all the time,
Right.
you're gonna create cracks. If I then use glue as an example to mend that, and I keep playing with it, and it's going to bend in the same place, that glue is going to become irrelevant. Okay, and in the skin, it's even worse. We're not going to get to that, but it's going to become irrelevant. So if I had the ability to have the rubber bend in a different place every time, you are going to be to have the statistically more opportunities, and we can see it, by the way, in vivo. You're going to have more opportunities for scaffolding to be created, and basically create a full structure. That's what happens with neuropeptides. Neuropeptides sit on a synapse, for that matter, and they work very similarly to Botox. They're significantly less powerful, but
That's what I was thinking, because you were talking about neuronal firing,
yeah,
and that's kind of what people are doing with the Botox is essentially,
yeah,
and you're saying that's somehow included in the ingredient of this
yeah,
particular formula.
yeah. So there are
Wow.
two.
Oh,
Yeah,
so okay, so let's just talk about one more thing. This is actually what the bottle looks like, by the way. I love that this design, so it's ready for travel, because that's
yeah.
always one of the things. Like, you can't, when the
Mm-hmm.
product looks like that, you can't travel with it. And then
Uh-huh.
now I can, oh, there we go. Now I can carry this in my bag, my purse, whatever
Hmm.
somebody wants. Um, one last thing around this, because I know we're almost out of time here.
Yeah.
We talked about the individual components, but like obviously this was formulated into a complex formula, and obviously you're very deep into the science behind this. So just take a moment to, because one of the things that is starting to be talked about at clinical grade formulations now
Hmm.
is you can talk about each one of these ingredients in isolation in a study that has been successful, but now you put them into a formulation, and I think the concern is sometimes, do we know that they all work together? Do we have the right amount of the product at that each individual product to actually have a synergistic or holistic effect? So could you just sort of end on how did this all come together? And then, on the formulation side.
Yeah. So this is actually a conversation that can take an hour, but I'm going to give you a few sentences.
Okay.
We incubate the product in a way that would assure before, so the formulation, not every product, but the formulation in a way that would assure that by the time that it gets to the client, by the time that the client applies it on the face, we are maintaining the percentages that are at the strength that they were inputted there to begin with. That's very important. Very few companies do it. A lot of companies do a microbial test, but very few
Mhm.
companies actually test percentages post incubation. And not
So
only
like, you
post,
mean when it's in the product and you're actually putting it
yeah,
on your skin, at that moment, we know that there's enough in the product to actually have an
yeah.
effect.
So the one company that does it and published a study on it showed that a 20% vitamin C serum basically arrived at the skin level at 7%, just to give you an
Mhm.
idea. So we have a 95% retention of original strengths. Depends obviously on the ingredient. The second thing is that we make sure the products are at a balanced pH, which actually is pretty difficult with good active ingredients. Very similar to the pH of our acid mantle. Therefore, ingredients do not significantly change while they get absorbed into the skin, and that's actually pretty major because most ingredients actually become inactive by the time they pass the skin barrier, the acid mantle.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is amazing. I'm sure anybody who's watching this, I mean, for me, I've never heard some of this information about beauty and skincare. I know that I've heard a lot where people buy these very expensive creams
Yeah.
and products and are saying like they don't do anything. And I know Young Goose is very rapidly growing brand because obviously people use it and they just have amazing results. So
Yeah.
that sort of speaks to this effort that you're doing behind the scenes. And so let me just end on one last question here, because we have all of our VIPs at the Healthspan Summit are going to
Mhm.
get this product. It's $180 bottle, by the way, and you got to understand, comparative to what beauty products cost in the marketplace for this amount of research and efficacious the ingredients all being delivered in this way. That's an amazing offer. Actually, all of your products are extremely well priced for what they provide. So how do I use this? Like, if I'm actually now, I've heard all this and I'm thinking this is great. I have a bottle of this at home. Is this something I just use on the wrinkles of my eyes? Is this something, where do I put this where I'm have the greatest concerns, predominantly face that you use it for? Because some of the things you even mentioned sound like it might even do some spot reductions in pigment areas. So what's the use of the product that you recommend?
So first of all, let's say you got this specific bottle. I would use it on my face, neck, and back of the hands.
Okay.
We do have people that are more affluent that buy, a lot of that specific product and use it as their
They're
body
bathing
product.
in it. They're just
Yeah,
swathing their whole body.
yeah.
Yeah.
Trend that started by a tech guy actually that made his friends do it. The long story. They're here in Miami, but just to give you to answer the question about when do I use it, we recommend using it twice a day, morning and evening. Uh, if people have other products, they just have other products sitting around, they apply them in random order. I just give a general guideline, which is you start with the less. You basically go thin to thick, whatever is more water based and thin textured. You start there, and that is a pretty thick product. It's a hydrating product that's going to go probably last, unless you have, I don't know, some balm you're putting on your skin. Yeah.
Okay. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Amate, for sharing your work as a formulator and researcher and, the work you do at Young Goose, to go through this and get this all tested and deliver it. I mean, it speaks for itself, but it's really wonderful to hear straight hand from you how you actually are approaching that and then what goes into a single product. So,
Mhm.
for those of you coming to the Healthspan Summit, you're going to get a bottle of this compliments of Amate and Anastasia from Young Goose. So again, thank both of you for that. And if you want to learn more about Young Goose, you can just go to younggoose.com, correct?
Yeah. Younggoose.com. We
and learn
if
about all
anyone
of their products.
if anyone's a real nerd, we have the Biohacking Beauty podcast. If you want to hear an hour about ascorbic acid, that's and why you should never use it and why it kills your skin, that's going to be the
Right.
place.
Right. So yeah, go ahead, listen to the podcast. That's when Amate can dive deep into all of these different things that they do and to biohack your beauty. And then of course, younggoose.com to look at their products. And for those of you, we hope to see you at the Houseband Summit of 2024. It's happening October 5th and 6th at UCLA South Bay and Palos Verdes. Tickets are on sale right up to the event. And if you miss it this year, we'll see you next year. And hopefully, Amate, I expect you and Anastasia to be with
Yeah,
us next year. But
indeed.
thank you again for supporting us with these amazing products, and we'll talk soon.